Hi, welcome to Littlewoods Homestead. My name is Melissa, if this is the first time you're joining. And today I am going to be making two cookie recipes that I froze. I made the dough and froze it ahead of time about 2 months ago. This is the first time that I've ever frozen dough before, but it sounded like a great idea and I thought it would save me a lot of time during the holidays. Both recipes turn out really great, and if you're interested, I'll have them linked below in the description. The first recipe is the gingerbread man cookies, and my plan with those is to make the cookies, but I'm not going to decorate them. I'm having a dinner party tomorrow with family, and I'll have the cookies laid out with different decorations like M&Ms, green and red M&Ms, and sprinkles, and I'll also make the frosting ahead of time so that way they can have a fun activity and decorate their own gingerbread man cookies, and they can take them home with them or eat them right away, whichever they would prefer. I took the cookie dough out of the deep freezer the night before and put it in the fridge, and so far the gingerbread man cookies are cutting out very nicely. These cookies also are supposed to have a chewy texture, so after being in the deep freezer for 2 months and then baking them and then finally having them after decorating, they still kept their chewy texture. So I will be doing this recipe again for next year. While the gingerbread cookies are baking, I thought I'd get started on the sugar cookies, but the dough was still extremely hard after being in the fridge overnight, so I went ahead and got started on the icing for the gingerbread cookies and at least got that prepped. I put in a cup of powdered sugar, a tablespoon of milk, and also a tablespoon of butter. I then decided that it wasn't going to be enough for the amount of gingerbread cookies, so I then went ahead and added another cup of powdered sugar. I eyeballed a tablespoon of milk and then some more butter. The gingerbread cookies did crack a little bit, but I do see in the picture of the recipe that it looks like that's normal for this cookie. I wanted the cookies to stop baking, so I took them off of the hot cookie sheet. And then I realized that my cookie rack the cooling rack that I usually put them on, is still at my family's house when we did our huge Christmas cookie baking. So I improvised and used this splatter screen instead. It has some bars on the bottom that will lift it up off the counter and help the cookies cool without getting moisture on the bottom. So just a way to improvise. If you don't have a cooling rack, this works just as great. I went back to the sugar cookie dough and it was still a little bit hard, but after some time I was able to get it rolled out. So for this recipe, I would suggest taking it out of the freezer another day or a day and a half. Maybe that will be better. But these turned out really great as well. They're another, I would say, a soft, kind of chewy cookie, but more a soft cookie, and they really hold their shape too. And something I really like about this sugar cookie is that there is lemon zest in it, so it has a hint of lemon, which I just really like about this type of sugar cookie. And this dough was really nice. I just kept re-rolling the scraps after each time I was doing the cookie cutouts, and I was pretty impressed that this dough didn't dry out from the being in the deep freezer for 2 months, and then it was in the refrigerator, and now I keep putting down a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick to the countertop each time I rolled it, and it really did do a really great job keeping its shape and not drying out or cracking or anything like that. So this is another recipe I am going to keep in my cookbook, where I can go ahead and make the dough way ahead of time, and then during the holidays when our weekends are totally packed, I can make it. For the gingerbread icing, I went ahead and put the icing in a Ziploc baggie. I did not have any icing bags, any professional or anything like that. So you can use a sandwich bag like this and put the icing in there. And then what I did is I took a twisty tie. Well, first I twisted this, and then I put a twisty tie on it, so it kind of mimics a piping bag. So it worked out pretty good. The seams didn't break or anything like that. And now that our sugar cookies are done, I'm going to go ahead and do the icing. I put in 4 ounces of cream cheese, then 2 cups of powdered sugar, and then about a tablespoon of milk and about a tablespoon of vanilla. I then used food coloring on hand to make a pink color, a bright green color, and then just regular white that didn't have any food coloring in it. And at first I thought, maybe I'll dip the cookie in there and see how that works, but that was a fail. That didn't really work, but hey, not everything is a fail. I'm gonna go ahead and fix it. I also brought out 2 different spatulas to see which I would like better, and I first tried this spatula and fixed the failed cookie that no longer looks like a fail. It's a success now. And so I went ahead and used the green icing on all of the trees. For the snowman cutouts, I used this blue spatula. It's much smaller than the other one that I was using for the trees, so I definitely prefer this one. And although I grabbed 3 different spatulas, I went ahead and kept using this blue one. I wish I could remember where I got it from. I'm gonna have to find where I can get another one of these, because this is really nice. This icing could have been piped on too. That's another way to do it, but I wanted to try this method. Once I was done icing, I went ahead and added on some blue sprinkles onto the pink candy canes, which I thought looked really neat, those 2 colors. And then I added some pink, it was more pinkish. I think it was supposed to be red, but it was more of a pink color. I added to the bright green trees, and then yellow to the star and blue to the snowman. And here's the finished product of our 2 recipes that we did from the deep freezer. Thank you for joining. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like and subscribe. Thank you, and I hope you have a great week.